Happy Sabbath. I hope we're all good. Let's begin with a word of prayer. Dear God, thank you for the Sabbath you have given us, for us to worship you in truth and in spirit. As we shall study the truths in your word, we ask that you may be with us, guide us, and give us understanding. Pray in Jesus' name, amen. All right, we are continuing with the study of the King of the South. I'm just going to do a recap, just to summarize. Maybe for some of us that are joining the study for the first time, that we are not lost, but you are able to follow and be. So firstly, wanted to identify what's the role of the King of the South. So that when we talk about its failure, we know what it has failed to do. Because we can't just say the King of the South has failed when we don't know what its purpose was. Or when we're talking about the death of the King of the South, we want to know how that death looks like. Because when we talk about the Church of God, like whether ancient Israel, when we talk about its close of probation, or them ceasing being a Church of God, we're not saying that the people themselves, they stop existing, or the Jewish nation stop existing, but they are dead prophetically because they've stopped doing their purpose. So that's why I want to identify the role of the King of the South. It will help us to understand its death. So we went to the book of Daniel, chapter 11, where we find the subject of the King of the South. We saw that there were battles from verse 5 going up to verse 16. It will be just ongoing battles between the two kingdoms, the King of the South and the King of the North. And how did we get there? The battles of the King of the North and the King of the South? It's because the kingdom of Alexander was broken. And the generals were fighting amongst each other for the kingdom of Alexander. But we noticed, or we saw that it's the King of the South who is more ambitious. But the King of the... Did I say King of the North? Okay, I'm sorry. We noticed that it's the King of the North that is more ambitious. But the King of the South is there to restrain him. When we get to verse 16, finally the King of the North manages to conquer all the areas and even the king of the south. And then from verse 16 all the way until verse 40, the king of the north is the ruler of the world. But who is there to kill the king of the north? When we get to Daniel 11 verse 40, it is atheistic France. It is atheistic France, who is symbolically the king of the south of the time. So we see that the king of the south does not only fight, oppose, restrain, but it also brings judgment on the king of the north. When the history continues, in World War I, World War II, we see in that time period that the king of the north wanted to rise again, to rule the whole world as it ambitiously want to. But because Satan is a student of Bible prophecy, there were visions to consecrate their heart of, to consecrate Russia into the heart of Mary. In other words, to convert or to conquer Russia. Because Satan has seen in the past history that Russia is always a problem when the king of the north is rising. Yeah, so from those histories, that's when we deducted the role of the king of the south. That it is to fight, to oppose, to restrain, to hold in check. And when it fails to do that, it's also there to kill it. So we are in the history of 1989 to Sunday Law, which is the history of the rise of the seventh kingdom. And according to the lines, it's at the Sunday Law when the seventh kingdom begins to roll. So if we have the seventh kingdom ruling, what does it mean? What implies, or what does it mean about the king of the south? It means the king of the south has failed to do its work. It means the king of the south was also active in history, in this history of the rising. But the fact that the seventh kingdom has conquered, it means the king of the south has been defeated, or it has failed its prophetic role. And according to Daniel 11:40 to 45, the entities that the king of the north needs to conquer is the king of the south, the sixth kingdom. I mean, no, it's the sixth. I didn't want to say the sixth kingdom. It's the sixth what? All right, glorious land. Yeah, so but our attention is on the king of the south. So we also traced in our history to see if the king of the south, like how far it went in terms of fulfilling its prophetic role. So in 1989, we saw Gorbachev advocating or proposing globalism. We know 1989, the Soviet Union comes to an end. And before then, there were two superpowers. So as Soviet Union is collapsing, the two leaders were proposing the new world order. And Gorbachev was proposing globalism. But we saw that George Bush version of the new world order was a different one. His was unilateral. And in 1999, Putin becomes the president of Russia. Yesterday we saw that he continued in the footsteps of Gorbachev, promoting the institutions of United Nations, advocating that if any decision needs to be made, it needs to be made through the Security Council. Yeah, him and other countries, France and Germany in 2003. They were against the invasion of Iraq. But we saw that Bush went ahead still. Without the authorization of the Security Council. And Putin was not happy about that. Especially after 2004, when NATO was expanded. After the two nations had agreed at the end of the Soviet Union that NATO will not be expanding. But nonetheless, that verbal agreement was, they went against it. And in these years, we say the president was Bush Jr. And he is or he was a Republican. And what type of a Republican did you say he is? We said he is a neoconservative. So Putin really had a tough time with Bush. He didn't like his foreign policies. Because they were not respecting the United Nations institutions. The speech that he made in 2007, the Munich speech, um, he showed how unhappy he was, and continued to say, we are not safe, we don't feel safe. Um, in 2011 was the death of Gaddafi. And at here, Putin was not president, it was Medvedev. He was cornered by the administration of Obama not to vote. And he abstained, he didn't vote, and the authorization, because of his vote, then it was authorized that Gaddafi be, or Libya be invaded. Putin was not happy with this. He was saying Medvedev betrayed you and he can betray you too. So Putin didn't like the foreign policy of the Republicans, the neoconservatives. And when Obama became president, it seems the same problem continued. Obama continued in the footsteps of George Bush. He had the same foreign policy as of Bush. So the Democrats became his enemy as well. But at this point in 2011, Putin is really done, with America. Oh, he is done with the institutions that he had been trying to promote all along. You can see that America, only follows when it suits them. But then when it doesn't suit them, they don't. So at this point, he's done with the rule of order. So 2014 begins, or even before, but then this is where we see the the campaigns for the next election starting. And there came someone who could be Putin's friend, because they saw things in the same light when it comes to foreign policy. Okay, so we'll just do a bit of revision for the World War One. When we go to World War One, we have okay, so many things are happening. I'm just gonna focus on just this one thing I wanna highlight. Germany is the king of the north, and Russia is the king of the south. And Germany is fighting the war in the eastern and the western front. And that time the war was not even going well. And also in Russia, things are not going well because of this war. And as a result, there is a revolution. It's the Bolshevik revolution. And the leader of that revolution, and the leader is Lenin. And Germany came up with a strategy that they help Russia withdraw from the war. And that will help them at least to fight one side. And I've forgotten the date, but Lenin was transported from Switzerland back to Russia, so that the revolution will be empowered. And so that it takes the establishment down, and then withdraw from the war. So when we do the application in World War III, we know this is the history of success. And here was in World War One was the history of failure. So we swap symbols. We understand that concept has been taught in the movement. Whatever was done by the king of the south in the history of failure is being done by the king of the north in the history of success. So in the history of success, it is Russia. That in the middle of war, the World War III, I'm trying to cancel. Okay, so and okay, and the king of the north being the US. So it is um o- okay, Russia is, I mean, yes, Russia is not happy with the establishment, and you can see that there is someone that can help them. Yeah, they can identify a movement that's happening in America, a revolution that's taking place, the mega movement, and they identified that Trump can help them. If they put him, okay, if Putin put Trump in the White House, because he has the policy, he has foreign policies that favors him. If they put him in the White House, you just go and do something that's gonna benefit Russia. And we know how how Putin helped Trump get in power, how he became a president in 2016. It was through the help of Putin. We, c- we call it the Battle of Ipsas, and Trump becomes the president. But this is where the King of the South made a big mistake. This is where it failed on its mission. This is where it committed its prophetic sin. Because Trump is the face of the movement of the Sunday Law. The very kingdom that is supposed to be restraining, fighting. But we see the King of the South enabling instead of, restraining. So this is where the prophetic sin happens. That's where it's stopped doing their prophetic duty. And indeed, when Trump becomes president, did according to Putin's will, because in 2018 is the Battle of Heraclea, and we see Trump withdrawing troops from Syria, which means it's a win for the King of the South. And the following year, Battle of Asculum, or known better as Battle of Raphia. It's more wins for the King of the South. And Putin, has so much influence now at the global stage. it becomes a powerful nation, but it's not powerful because of of globalism, but is powerful because of going against of the rule of law. 2021, it's the Battle of Beneventum. It's the Battle of Penium. Here, the King of the South lost the battle because the administration changed. It was Biden. But in terms of, Russia and its prophetic role, there were, from 2014 going forward, in terms of Putin, like, he is done, they have failed. And the question is, what needs to happen then? If some Bible entity fails on its prophetic role, what happens? Like, for an example, if a Church of God, its duty is to give a message, and when it falls, what does God do? I'm asking a question. Like, so since, because Putin was the president, since now we have Russia failing, is it, okay, I'm asking the class, is it the end? What needs to happen? Is there hope? You want to talk? Okay, there's a hand, Goni.
Okay. From what I think, God bypasses the church that is failing and creates a new church. So I don't know if that applies to the King of the South.
Okay. So, okay, so in the church you're saying, God raises up another, whether a reform movement, or he reforms the church. So, does anyone maybe wants to suggest or think something, or has a thought? Please give the mic to Tato.
So I want to see if I understand well. Is the King of the South an instrument in God's hand to to restrain the king of the north from reaching its perfection. Please, can you clarify maybe that?
Here is a question, class. Tato is asking if the king of the south is a tool in God's hand. What are we saying? I think we had a discussion yesterday. Oh, I asked if, okay, maybe before I say something, please give the mic to Nicholas.
Yeah, maybe to add on to the question. Who is in control of the worldly affairs?
Oh, you asked a question as well. Okay, but your question is kind of an answer to the title's question. Does anyone wants to answer Tato? Because we said, what the the new world order that Gorbachev was promoting. We said, was it a good one or a bad one? Or the ones that Putin, or what Putin promoted at first before he sinned? Was it a good world order or a bad one? I hear people saying good. So it means it was doing its work. Please give the mic to Joseph.
Just want first maybe Tato to repeat his question.
Can I
Yes.
repeat for him?
Yes.
Is Russia a tool in God's hand to restrain the king of the north? Is that right? Okay.
My answer is yes. Is the two prophetically, but not morally.
Please give the mic back to Tato.
So I get the answer that Joseph is giving. I don't know, maybe Curtis and others may be also able to assist on this question that I'm going to ask. Because like the multipolar world that the King of the South is looking for, it's actually run by dictators. So you have these dictators looking for multipolar that don't interfere on my business. Because the United States want to dictate, or the King of the North wants to dictate everyone. So how do we conceptualize all this role of the King of the South?
How much time do I have? Okay. All right. I think I didn't quite get your question, Tato. I'm not sure if anyone did. But I don't know if you're suggesting that, whether from 1989, Gorbachev, Putin in 2001, 2003, he was a dictator, which I think is not the case. I think we mark Putin being a dictator from 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I'm willing to be corrected. But he wasn't from 1989. When you get to the history of 2018, 19, 2021, even up to today, yeah, when Putin was doing well at the world stage, when Putin was doing well, 2019, 2018, yeah, it's because of his dictatorship. It was because of that. But prophetically, there he was failing already. He had failed already. When he was doing well prophetically, he was not a dictator. Please give the mic to Curtis.
When we did our studies about the last president, and there were discussions about whether Hillary Clinton could fulfill that role, a point I remember us making at the time was the supposed corruption that exists within the Clinton family is irrelevant. Same as when we look at Trump's personal behavior, it becomes irrelevant. Because what we're looking for is what prophecy is telling us. So if we start now going to the morality of Russian politics and looking at it with our moral lens, we start moving away from what prophecy is trying to tell us. And what prophecy is trying to tell us is that the king of the south restrains the king of the north. And if you want to say who the bad person is at the end of the world, it's the king of the north. So by inference, prophetically, the king of the south has to be good. And you can't bring your perspective of morality into that. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Curtis. Are you happy, Tato? All right, thank you. Okay, so all right, so now the king of the south has failed on his prophetic role. The question is there hope? Because it has changed its course. Oh, the only hope could be in the opposition. Whether opposition party, because you know Trump. Putin has changed the course of Russia prophetically, and you know he is now friends with the king of the north, and the only hope there is for the king of the north, if there is opposition within Russia that could take power or be put in power and then change the course of Russia. That is the only hope that it has, because it is the king of the south. Just like the Church of God, when it fails to do its prophetic duty, the only hope is for reformation, or for the stone to be cut out of the mountain, and then continue with the prophetic role where the mountain has failed. So the only hope that then Russia had is that within Russia, whether it's a revolution or reformation or it's a party, that will have the power and then change the course of Russia. So did we have any opposition? What is it? Riot? All right. Okay, so we're going to discuss Navalny. He organized political demonstrations and campaigns. He was the strongest opponent of, the Putin's party. He published material about the corruption that the top official Russian were doing. It had been a going struggle for his political party. It was formed in 2011. And since then, he's been arrested after arrest after arrest. Because he was indeed a threat for Putin. We can just go on Wikipedia and read about, how he was poisoned and, how he's been put in this maximum prison. It's, in 2020 when the when Putin when the Ukrainian war began. And have things been going well for Putin? Has the war taken the direction which he predicted at the beginning? Was it easy as he thought? Because of sanctions and in other places, things have not been going well for Russia. With this Ukrainian war going on. And, if we have listened to Putin, we know how good he is with history. And he knows what happens, when a country is in a war which is not going well. A revolution happens in the country. He knows what happened in 1917. The Bolshevik Revolution came about because of of the way people are not happy with the war that was going on. And even the fall of the Soviet Unions were because of the revolutions that were taking place. And it's because people are not happy with the wars that were going on. And currently, or 2020, this Ukrainian war has been going on. He knew there was a possibility of a revolution. And the only, the only opponent or the only threat that he had was Navalny. It says, okay, in August 2020, Navalny was hospitalized after being severely poisoned. He was evacuated to Berlin. He was discharged after a month. And Putin was accused of being responsible for that poisoning. In 2021, he returned to Russia. But as soon as he landed, he was arrested for violating parole. And he has been in a prison for 2.5 years, detained. And in last 2023, he received a sentence for 19 years. And while he was in prison in February 2024, it was reported that Navalny died. And Putin or Putin's government has been accused for the death of Navalny. And Joe Biden said it straight that it's no doubt Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. And so we're marking the death of Navalny 2024. He died in February. He was the only hope for Russia. He's the only one who could change the course of Russia prophetically. Since the last hope is dead, it means it's the death of Russia prophetically. Because when you think of it, when you go to ancient Israel, the Church of God, you rejected Christ. The disciples, reformers, they accepted the message, they were giving a message. So the disciples of Christ were the last hope for the church. So when we get to AD 34, and Stephen is stoned, why does that mark the death of ancient Israel completely? Like it's dead, there is no hope. I'm not sure if you see what I'm trying to say. But Navalny was the last hope, because We are going to read the notes. Under where it says opportunity for change. Did you get it? Justin, did you get? Okay. It says, even in death, Navalny is seen by Kremlin as an enduring threat. Russian authorities have zealously prosecuted people with links to Al-Second Navalny's organization inside Russia in the years since he died. Okay, wait, let's go to the next page where it says last hope for Russia. Can you see? Charmaine, did you get it? Okay. It says, witness the heroic journey of Alexei Navalny as he fearlessly fights to overthrow the most powerful dictator. Observe his reality and transformation from cyberspace campaigner to courageous crusader. This is the life of Russia's lost hope. Okay, so I think this was an introduction to documentary about Navalny. But those I think, I don't know what they call, but the commentator recognized that, you know, the death of Navalny, it's Russia's lost hope. Because he's the only one that stood fearlessly to fight, Putin. Now that he's dead, there is no hope, as in no one that can do that job. Okay, I'm continuing to read. It says, without him, Putin's transition to total political invulnerability seems complete. For years, Navalny and the Russian president have been locked in a brutal battle royale that was unlikely to end without the death of one of them. And now it finally happened. Only a day after he was filmed at a court hearing cracking jokes and seemingly in high spirits, it was announced the 47-year-old collapsed suddenly on a walk in prison and died after an attempt of an ambulance crew to revive him. The death of this larger-than-life figure marks the end of an era in post-Soviet history and draws a definitive line under Russia's short-lived experiment with democracy. Okay, I'm skipping to the next page. All right, so the quotations that we just read, yeah, they just, it's just a repetition of how, Navalny was the last hope is the lost hope for Russia. The next one, the next page, you see where it says today, it's highlighted. Today for many Russians. You see it. It says today for many Russians, with the death of Navalny, the last glimmer of hope for democracy has been buried. And then the paragraph, just skip the one that says that's the thing about the news. Can you see it? And then the last sentence, it says, as he put it. Can you see the last sentence of that paragraph? You see the paragraph that starts with, that's the thing about this news. Where it says Navalny was the only nucleus. Okay. So Navalny was the only nucleus around whom that would have been possible. Now the nucleus is gone. So I keep forgetting the word. The journalists, they do recognize that, for Russia's democracy, Navalny was the last hope. But for us, prophetically, we even see that he was the only hope for Russia to fulfill its role as a subject of Bible prophecy. So since the only hope is gone, this is the death of the King of the South. Prophetically, Russia continues to exist. But prophetically, it is dead. Just like we can understand Seventh-day Adventists as a church, it exists. Prophetically, it's dead as a church of God. Just like we can understand America as a nation exists, but prophetically, as the sixth kingdom of Bible prophecy, it's dead. Yeah, so I hope at least we're able to follow and see why we mark the death of Russia in 2024. I hope we're able to see where and how it felt. After they committed their prophetic sin, they were not fit for purpose. It could not be a tool, it could not restrain the king of the north. And the last hope was Navalny. And he was killed February 2024. Hence, we have the seventh kingdom of Bible prophecy unrestrained now. Does anyone have questions? Please give the mic to Tina. Okay.
Can I speak now? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You mentioned the death in 2024. I don't know if I didn't hear you, but can you please just repeat that part? What do you mean by the death in 2024? How did it happen?
Okay, according to the lines that have been established, we mark the death of the king of the south at Sandelo. This is because of the lines of Pyrrhus. Pyrrhus dies, and it lines up with the Sandelo. Okay, so we said, okay, we said, I don't know how to summarize. I'm so bad at summarizing. So we said the role of the king of the south is to restrain the king of the north. Ne? And we identified that from 1989 up to 2011. We see Russia doing its role correctly. Or we're saying from 1989 to 2011, we see Russia doing good. It's doing its prophetic role. But then 2014 going forward, it fails on its prophetic role. Because instead of restraining the king of the north, it befriends it. So it fails on its prophetic role. And Russia has another chance at least to change its KoS. And we're saying that Navani was that hope. Because he's the only man that stood against Putin. But he dies in 2024. So that's all the hope now is gone for Russia. And I try to that we see with okay, like the way God deals with his church. The reason, when you read Great Controversy, or maybe let me not go there, but with ancient Israel, with the death of Stephen, we mark the close of probation there. But I guess from AD 34 until that time, God was still giving them, a chance. But, when Stephen died, it's like there was no hope for the church anymore. So when the establishment in terms of Russia could not fulfill the prophetic role, at least the establishment was bypassed for at least whether a party revolution to do, at least to try to do the work. But Navani died prophetically. There is no hope for Russia. Are you happy? Thank you everyone for listening. We've come to the end of our lesson. Or close in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for being with us. Thank you for the lines you have given us to make the truth so plain and easy for understanding. I pray for each and every one of us here and those online, that you may help us and to understand where we are in prophetic history, and help us to do the necessary work that we need to do individually, so that we may be found worthy. I pray in Jesus' name, amen.